Welcome to Gaming Golf, the Pebble Beach edition, where we'll preview this tournament. We'll talk about the impact of the Saudi Invitational, and we'll wonder, is Jeff Ritter ever going to be trapped in an airport again? Will he ever be doing another podcast from the airport? Tune in and find out. Welcome, everybody, to Gaming Golf. As alluded, this is the Pebble Beach edition, also known as the Quad Cities Open, apparently, looking at the field this week. It is, Scott, we were sending an email, like, Scott's like, I'm probably ready, but let me look at that field first. And like, oh, it's painful. This is the week of the Saudi Invitational, also kind of the unofficial, maybe it's even official kickoff of the competing tour that we're about to see. Big issue in golf. You know, it's one that we usually don't deal with in fantasy, but we're going to have to deal with this if this does come to fruition. It's one of those things, like, if you are a golf reporter, it's been on your mind for a while. I don't think the general golf public has been following this issue as closely, but it's kind of upon us now.
Yeah, this is the week where it really gets real, right? Where you just see what a competing tour might do to the PGA Tour product. The Saudi Invitational this week is really the flagship event on the Asian Tour. The players who are competing, I think there's 21 of the top 50 are over there. They all receive a special exemption from the PGA Tour to play in this one. So PGA Tour granted the exemption, but also said this is a one-time exemption. This isn't, permission to go play half your season on the Asian Tour or whatever it may be. So, but there's definitely, this competing tour thing is not going away. It's something the PGA Tour is going to have to face head on. And, first salvo this week, the tour let the players out to go play in this. And so this is what you have. It feels like, I don't know if it's Quad Cities Open because it's still Pebble, but it's a very depleted field.
And didn't they do like, okay, you got to play Pebble 2 of the next 3 years or something like that? Or is the trade-off?
Xander got upset about it because he doesn't like playing the AT&T with the celebs in the long round. So he was upset about it. Yeah, I think there's some sort of stipulation you have to play. I think you're right. I think it's 2 of the 3 next years.
So we'll see if they actually fulfill that, right? Yeah. I mean, they might come to, okay, do what you're going to do. We'll see what happens, especially if this other tour takes off and it actually is popular and gets a lot of players. But I know Rory was talking about the impact of appearance fees, which is kind of, pardon the word, rich, because he's already taken appearance fees, and it's kind of like, it seems like a little bit of gatekeeping to me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't begrudge Rory for, it's nice for somebody to speak out and present the other side of this, because that needs to be said. Of course, like you said, Rory's taken appearance fees before. So I don't know. I mean, the one thing I wonder about is what's to say the Saudi event stays in its current spot on the calendar? That's just another way they could sort of skate around and let the guys go play Pebble, but still have their event potentially and ask for another exemption. Or I don't know. These two worlds they're on a collision course and they're already starting to kind of bounce off each other. And there's going to be something bigger coming where I think that the two tours are just going to have to learn to work together because there's just too much money over behind this new venture that it's just going to continue to lure top players away, and they're going to want to go. So they're going to have to figure this out.
Yeah, it could be a little. And I think it's also a little bit a case of biting the hand that's fed them all these years. It's like, all these players that are going to be drawn have gotten insanely rich on the PGA Tour. I mean, they've earned it. They've been great, but it's because the tour has built up a lot of these fees. I mean, a lot of these big pools, and of course they've got endorsements and all that because of this. But we'll see. I don't know. It's a tricky issue. I don't want to be like all anti-new because sometimes that the new thing can bring in a little bit more excitement too. So we'll see. But it's interesting. We're looking at this field this week after last week having a loaded field and a very fun tournament. I thought. Now we got this. Let's briefly talk about our reaction this week. We'll start with Will Zalatoris, who just withdrew from Pebble because of COVID, but had to put on a ball striking exhibition on Friday and a really bad putting exhibition on Friday. Still had a 65, still almost won the tournament, but man, he really needs to learn how to putt.
It seems like it's always the short ones too. Like it's these 6 to 12 footers that it just seems like it's a toss up whether he makes those. Whereas, you get the percentage on most guys a lot higher and just a couple of those, but man, he can strike the ball. But I was really happy to see Luke List win. He's 37, 38, had never won on tour before, had all these great, tee to green numbers and ball striking numbers, just couldn't make a putt. And, I guess if you have a problem making a putt, you might as well hit it to 6 inches on the last hole to win.
Yep. That's right. It was kind of weird. I liked the Wednesday, Saturday schedule, to be honest. It was fun. I don't know if I'd like it every week, but I think it was super smart to do it to avoid the conference championships in football and Houday. But sorry, I had to get that in again. It was something I think I'd have a hard time getting used to if it was every week. I think it's good that they did it this week, but I'm not sure if I'd like it on a regular basis. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it felt a little disjointed. It felt strange to be starting on a Wednesday, but then at the same time, I get to Sunday afternoon. We want to lock in on those NFL games. I mean, they were epic, right? And congrats to your Bengals, but it just wouldn't have. And the NFL, especially for whatever reason, these last couple of weeks, the playoffs have just been unbelievable, just sucking the life out of the rest of the sports calendar. So it was smart for the PGA Tour to slide it back for this 1 week. And I would expect they'll just keep doing it going forward and not to avoid the conference championship round.
Yeah, I would hope they wouldn't do it more than that, though. I mean, I just I found it weird too. Like it was weird to turn on Saturday and there was the final round. I missed the Sunday. I like the Super Bowl weekend where they actually get the Phoenix tournament kind of goes up and the Super Bowl starts so late. That one works out really well. But it was a smart job. But I wouldn't want it too many more weekends on that.
I'd agree. I think there might be a push in some circles to try to do NFL Sundays, like in the regular season, try to avoid those too, because the NFL is still king. But we'll see about that. It was Wednesday. It was kind of weird. One other thing before we get to Pebble. Wednesday, I was watching the coverage like on the PGA Network, and they shut it down early. It's like at 2:00 or something. I'm like, wait, why? It's because they had this commitment all along to this college tournament. I was like, that's kind of lame. But then it's like, I'm kind of into this. I was enjoying watching the college tournament and seeing some, getting some scouting for future years and seeing some of these guys. Seeing the kid from Wake Forest looks really good, like he'll be a good pro. The kid that won it from, the kid that won it from Arizona State. He looked pretty good too. So you never know. You might start getting an early scouting, and when there's nothing else on, I like watching college golf. It's just we're missing actual live coverage of the PGA tournament.
I'm in a lot of trouble going forward in our league if you start scouting the college players.
I won't do it right. That's okay. You're fine. But let's talk about Pebble. Okay, we acknowledge it's not a good field. Let's start going through that field, and you'll get an illustration of that. With the Zalatoris withdrawal, there are 3 golfers in 5 digits. There's Patrick Cantlay at 11-2. Daniel Berger at 10-5 and Jordan Spieth at 10-3. 2 former champs in Cantlay. What do you guys make of this? We'll start with you, Jeff.
My first reaction is I regret using Cantlay in the one and done pool a couple weeks ago, where I didn't anticipate him becoming the head and shoulders clear favorite, 2 weeks later. But he deserves it. I don't think I would pay up for this in daily fantasy, and I haven't even checked the odds on him as a straight ticket bet. But overwhelming favorite, deservedly so. I mean, Zalatoris was the second choice, and now he's out, so it just furthers that gap from Cantlay to the rest of the field. Berger is sort of interesting. I think isn't he the defending champion? I pulled that up. He won this last year, right? So still playing great. Spieth is tempting, but I don't know. I probably just stay off this tier and start to make a living in the 9,000s.
Yeah. According to MGM, Cantlay is plus 650. It's Rom-like in terms of his odds there. You're not going to get a whole lot of payoff for that. Scott, anything else to chime in on this top tier?
Yeah, I think the thing that Zalatoris withdrawing this is it really just sucks away any chance of any of these guys being lowly owned. I think it just everybody's percentage goes up. If you can get Cantlay, I think a lot of people will. I really like Daniel Berger this week at 10-5. Jeff mentioned defending champion, but also 5th in 2020. He had a top 10 in 2015. He was 20th last week, but never fully got it going. Played okay, but it was kind of around and didn't kill you if you had him. He was 5th in the tournament champions. I just look at his tee to green approach numbers. They're just so good since last summer. I think that he's if I'm going to go someone up here, it's him, and it's definitely not Spieth. I know everybody likes Spieth this week because he's had so much success here over the years, but man, you look at his stat page, there's a lot of red on that stat page recently. He's not hitting the ball very well right now.
Yeah. And shockingly enough, shots gained approach matter here, as they do every other single tournament.
Big time here. It's one of the, I think Pebble is the lowest average drive on tour because there's not a lot of places to really let it go. And you're going to have a lot of shorter approaches, and it's key this week. It's key every week, but it's especially key this week because you can't kind of overpower this course. There's just not a lot of long driving holes.
Yeah. And Spieth, his approach has been awful this year. That's where he's hurting the most. And add in the fact that he got hospitalized for an illness during the tournament last week. It's just everything's adding up against him there. You're
putting a lot of faith in the course history and the fact that like this is where he turned it around last year. And I think that feels very narrative street to me. And I'm going to go current form over that every day.
Yeah, 100% agree. Let's move on to the 9,000s. Jason Day's at 99. Maverick McNeely 98. Justin Rose 96. Had a really brilliant Friday. Cameron Tringali also coming off a good tournament, 95. Seamus Power, 94. Matt Fitzpatrick, 92. Streelman, 91. That's a name we haven't mentioned a whole lot this year. And Kevin Kisner at 9,000. Scott, do you like this tier? Who do you like in this tier?
It's a fun tier. It's hard because these are names we usually don't see in the 9,000s, but it's just the strength of this field. You've got to just get that out of your head. And I look at Maverick McNeely, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't be his 9,800. But then I'm like, I kind of like what I see here. He's been top 5 here the last couple of years. He putted well last week, but kind of lost on approach. But top 30 the last 5 weeks, just playing well. I really like Justin Rose too, just based on the fact that he just hit it so well last week.
You like Justin Rose?
I know, it's rare.
What?
He gained 5.4 in approach last week, 6.17 to green. Like my problem with him last year was like when he played well, it was kind of like a weird putting week and all that kind of stuff. But he was T3 at the U.S. Open here in 2019. He was T6 at Torrey last week. I just really like how he's playing right now. Just hitting the ball really well. And my third guy in this range, I think is the most fascinating guy for me, is Matthew Fitzpatrick. He's 9,200. I like his game for this course. When he was 12th here in the U.S. Open in 2019. The only thing is he hasn't played in a couple months. He is not. He played on the Euro Tour in November. He played in Dubai. He was second in that tournament, so he played really well. I like his price in this field. I like his odds to win, but I do have a little bit concerned about coming off a couple months of rest. But I think it's a very good fit for Fitzpatrick.
How dare you diminish the work he did in the Hero World Challenge and the 20-man tournament? But no, I'm with you on that. Yeah, and that. I think that speaks right. I wanted to cue up the Alonzo Mourning gif when you're talking about McNeely and his price. Like, yeah, okay, fine. Jeff, what do you got for a senior Ritter?
Love the Fitzpatrick pick. McNeely is intriguing. I didn't hold it together well on Sunday at Torrey Pines, but played his college golf at Stanford. Just kind of feels like a player that's on the rise. Now it's still back-to-back top 5 finishes for him, and you just feel like his time is coming. I don't know if you want to pay up that price in the daily fantasy game, but I think McNeely is going to win somewhere soon. The more he puts himself there on Sunday, the faster it's going to happen. I'm intrigued by the Jason Day comeback story. He was there on Sunday, didn't really, I think he missed the playoff by a shot, right? So he was close, but there's something about Jason Day.
Did him in.
When he's healthy, I mean, when he's right, he was as good as anybody. And I kind of want to buy into this comeback. And he's always been a pretty good West Coast player. I don't think he's won at Pebble, but 12 for 12 in terms of making the cut, which if you're going to pay this price, you need more than a cut made. But I've always kind of liked him on the West Coast. The cynic would say, well, he's healthy at the start of the year. And then, has a lot of ailments that seem to crop up with time. He's kind of one of those guys that he can get banged up throughout the course of a year, but he looks right now. And I'm kicking myself because I was in on him in our season-long auction, and I let it go, and I have regrets. And I'm going to be watching Jason Day this week as well.
Who got him in that league, Scott?
And I can't imagine who that was, but that was it's funny because someone outbid me on Ricky Fowler, who I didn't want to bet, but I had to just for personal preference, and I got outbid. I'm like, I'm just going to get Jason Day, who's also one of my favorite players. But Jeff mentioned course form here. He's got 7 straight top 11s at this tournament. That is a wild stretch.
Yeah.
He's been top five 4 of the last 5 years here. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, 99 is not where we'd expect to pay for him, but
no.
Yeah. We'll talk about Jason Day later, maybe. perhaps. 8,000s. Well, actually, before we do that, would you go two or three guys in the 9,000s and avoid the 5-digit tier? Maybe is that? I mean, you only have 2 guys if you're not using speed. I think you almost by definition, it's very simple to go 2 guys in the 9,000.
That's what I like this week. Yeah. Well, although I think Cantlay is an amazing like one and done pick for that format. For daily fantasy, I like the 9,000s a lot this week.
Yeah, I mean, it's chock full of guys. We didn't even mention Seamus Powers, 9,400 playing well. Kevin Streelman's at 9,100, and he and Larry Fitzgerald dominate the Pro-Am. And
that's right.
Streelman's been top 20 here 6 years in a row. Like he's at 13th, 2nd, 7th, 6th, 14, and 17. Like you look at it, it's just a crazy course history. There's a lot of names to play here. I probably start with like a Berger Fitzpatrick start is probably the way I go on my main team. But yeah, you get 2 or even 3 guys in the 9s. It's a matter of finding cheap guys, which I think is going to be the hard part for us.
Yeah. All right. $8,000 tier. Ryan Palmer's at 89. Lanto Griffin, 88. Biz Wiedenhut, 87. Brian Harmon, 86. Tom Hoagie is at 85. Is it Hoagie? It is Hoagie, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I always get that wrong for some reason. Mackenzie Hughes is at 84. Mito Pereira, friend of the podcast, 83. He's honorary friend. He doesn't realize it, but he's a friend. Denny McCarthy is 82. Charlie Hoffman at 81. Matt Jones at 8,000. Jeff Ritter, who do you like in this tier?
I mean, friend of the podcast, Mito Pereira is tempting. He played his way into the kind of the battlefield promotion last year, winning 3 times on the Korn Ferry Tour, and looked the part on the PGA Tour. I think he was 4th in the Olympics too. Didn't he just barely miss the podium? I mean, he was like very close to becoming a bigger name in golf, and was just like right around it a couple times. And he profiles as more of a ball striker. I think that's a cheap price for him this week among the others. Ryan Palmer's off to a nice start this year. And I'm just going to keep saying the name Christian Bezuidenhout because I think he's going to become, I think this is the year for him and this might be the spot. So I'm still stretching that one out. Bezuidenhout, he just is continuing to be on my watch list, especially at this price.
And especially because you don't need big hitters necessarily here.
Right.
I like him a lot here. I think he will be on maybe all of my rosters. I might start building around there. Pereira also has 4 solid rounds last week at Torrey Pines too. Didn't dominate, finished 25th, but he was a solid earner for us last week, and now he's up in price a little bit, but still pretty affordable. Scott, what do you like out of this group?
You guys kind of stole some thunder for me here, I have to admit.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I love Pereira and Christian Bez. Christian Bez is probably my favorite play of the whole tournament here at 8,700. He's missed 1 cut worldwide, so PGA and Euro events since November of 2020. Like, it's just a great stretch for him, gaining really well in approach. Jeff mentioned the lack of distance doesn't hurt him here. It's a perfect setup. Torrey was never going to be his track. I really like him. I really like him playing at all these courses. I mean, I know Spyglass is the toughest of 3, but MPCC you can really get your guy. If you're going to win this tournament, you really got to get MPCC. And I love Pereira too. Gained 3.7 on approach last week. He only finished 25th, like Jeff mentioned, but hit it really well. He's 12th in approach in this field the last 24 rounds. Just to be a little bit different in this field, I do think that Lanto Griffin's interesting. Played 8,800, gained really well on TD Green approach last week. He was 30th at Farmers, 3rd at Amex, playing really well right now. He's a guy that a couple of years ago we thought was going to be a big star, and kind of had a few moments and then kind of went down a little bit. But I think he's back. But I love those 3 for sure. But Bez and Pereira, I do like a ton this week, and one of them might even be my one and done pick this week.
One of them might be there. All right. Let's go on to the 7,000s. It gets grimmer here. And, often I will skip going down the names. What I'm going to do is I'm going to break it into halves. We've done this before. Like 7,900 to 7,500. We'll do that first. Aaron Rye, rookie, had a nice little run last week. Was in the final group. Is at 79. Michael Thompson having a good year at 79. Lucas Glover, 78. Russell Knox, 78. Chris Kirk, 77. Min-Woo Lee making his 2022 debut is at 77. Matt Kuchar, the American Sepp Straka, is at 76. Andrew Putnam's at 76. Keith Mitchell, 75. Joel Damon, 75. And Cameron Champ at 75. Jeff Ritter, since I made your joke in reverse, I'm going to start with you because
I kind of like Kuchar at that price. He is quietly making cuts, doing what Matt Kuchar does, doing what Sepp Straka does, just kind of hanging around and popping up on Sunday for that backdoor top 20, which plays well at this price. So I'm intrigued by Kuchar. Michael Thompson, I think, has only missed one cut this year. He's had a pretty good year at that price too. So those are probably my two favorites off the top half of the 7,000s.
It's an interesting group in here because this is a tournament that anybody can win. We talked about that a couple weeks ago with Amex. I think 3 of the last 5 winners, Nick Taylor, Ted Potter Jr., we're over 100-1 to win this tournament 3 of the last 5 years. So you guys can win this. You just got to go low on MPCC and get hot over the weekend. But I think there's a couple of guys in here that can win. I think Minwoo Lee is really interesting at 7,700. This is someone that won a legit, really good field last year. He won the Scottish Open last year in his last 8 events he has 4 top 8 finishes last 6 events on the Euro Tour. He had a couple of top 10s in November. I know he hasn't played in a while. Had a top 10 in a while. He did finish 35th in Abu Dhabi a couple of weeks ago. But this is someone that, like, against really good fields, played really well and actually won a tournament. You don't get that often in the 7,000s. He's the 51st ranked player in the world. I admit I don't know a ton about him because he hasn't played here, but 7,700 from what I've seen on the other tours, I really like his price this week. I think Lucas Glover has a chance to win this week too. He's been top 35 in all 3 events this year so far in 2022, including a 5th at Sony. Hit it really, really well at Sony. We talked about that when he went to Amex. Less so at Amex, but it's tough at Amex because only 2 of those rounds are tracked by the shot tracker, so we don't know quite as well how well he played. But top 35 with a top 5, I like that. And then I think that Aaron Rai showed last week at Torrey, a tough course, played really well, hit it great, game 6.3 on tee to green. He was rough at Amex also, but again, that's only 2 rounds. We have the ball striking numbers on. Missed the cut at Sony, so it's a little more risk there. But 700, I think, is workable. But I think I really like Minwoo Lee and Glover this week. I think they both have a chance to win the tournament.
Very good. I'm not. I just looked at the 7,400 to 7,000 range. It's large and in charge, so I'm not going to go name all of them. But is there anybody in this grouping that you like? We'll start with Scott.
It's a tougher range than the other one. I really liked guys in the upper 7,000s. I don't love a ton here. The guy who's most interesting to me is kind of right at the bottom. It's Grayson Sigg at 7,000. 3 starts in 2022. He's made 3 cuts. He was 34th. I can talk last week at Torrey. He's gained tee to green and approach in all 3 tournaments. You're kind of, down here in this range, you're kind of finding someone to talk up and squint and find some good numbers. And, gaining in both those metrics, but in all 3 events is something I'm interested in. So I like Sigg at 7,000. The interesting guy people are talking about is Brandon Harkins at 7,100. He won on the Korn Ferry Tour last week, and now he's playing here. He was top 30 at Pebble in 2018 and 2019, so it's a pretty good course history that goes back a little ways. So you're kind of taking a little bit of leap of faith there, but he's hitting the ball well right now if he just won last week on the Korn Ferry.
I can't believe you didn't go with Vincent Whaley. Your sneaky under the radar bet for the second half of last year. He's still out there making a bunch of cuts, but I think I flagged, I don't know, Taylor Pendrith, rookie.
Yep.
Hype, probably the most hyped rookie in this class, I would say. I'm still kind of just looking for him to do something. He made the cut last week, or in his last event, I should say. But it's just someone, sometimes these early events, like you said, Scott, this is an event that can surprise people. Yeah. You get surprise winners, you get a lot of surprise contenders too. So I just look maybe for pedigrees that haven't really popped up yet. So I'm watching Pendrith. I picked up Sahith. I think you say it's
Thegala, right?
Is it? Yeah. I picked him up on my season-long team. Also, I don't know a lot about him, but I read great things about his college career, and just someone else. I think you don't have to be a big hitter at this event. He fits more of the all-around profile than a power player. So maybe this is a weekend where he can make a cut and make noise. But I agree, there isn't a lot. Once you get below 7,500, that I feel like I have to roster to fill out a team. You're kind of just throwing darts.
I'm also going to pepper in a little bit of Pat Perez this week at 7,300, just based on current form. Call. He finished 6th last week, but you look at his numbers: gained 5.2 in approach, 4.3 in tee to green. He's kind of a streaky guy, but give me someone that's streaky on the hot part of it. And I think at 7,300, I think he's workable and might make some noise here, especially over the weekend.
I wrote down Pat Perez and I forgot to say it. Yeah,
beautiful.
Pat Perez is another West Coast guy.
You don't get credit.
West Coast guy.
And he feels like a guy that would have fun in a tournament with these amateurs and celebs. I think he kind of fits right in here. He's a fun-loving guy, to say the absolute least.
It's so funny. He was known for his temper earlier in his career, and now he does a couple of videos, video podcasts, and now he's fun-loving Pat Perez. I think that's so funny how the narrative changes on that.
So fast.
Any interest in Brant Snedeker, previous champ at this course a couple of times?
Mild, but you can have him. He's yours. You can plant the flag.
I'm not planning that one. No thanks.
Not for me. Just enough ball striking struggles over the last 3 or 4 months that I think I'm going to go elsewhere.
I am too. And he missed the cut here last year too, by the way. So horse for course does not quite work with him if recent form is that bad. So we're finding it's harder to find guys. We're like, yeah, if this, if that, we're not really thrilled about this level. Let's dip into the 6,000s, but I think, is there anybody else that catches your eye? It's a super cheapy special. Let's go Scott this time first.
Yeah, I kind of cheated when I did this. Grayson Siggs, kind of my name there because he's actually 7,000. I think you're going to look at you're going to try to find anything to hold on to in this range. I think Satoshi Kodaira at 6,900 played well at Sony, finished 12th and hit the ball really well. Gained 4.9 tee to green, 4.7 approach. So someone that's playing well. A decent fit here. My other guy here, if you want to go, horse for course, Brian Gay is 6,400. He's played here the last 4 years. He has 4 top 40s and 2 top 10s. He was top 10 in 2018 and 2019. I don't love that he missed the cut at Sony and Amex, so the recent form's not there. But if you want to look at course history and find a reason to pay someone down here, I think he works. The other guy down here, Adam Svenson at 6,900, is someone that is getting a lot of buzz for being, a guy that might eventually be a really good player on tour. Hit it really badly last week, though, is my only problem. Has made all 3 cuts he's played this year. So if you wanted to, maybe get someone to slide through the cut, I think Svenson's someone that could slide through the cut and maybe has a little bit of an ounce of upside, a little bit more upside than some of the guys in this range.
Yeah, Brian Gay would have been my pick. It's a great call. Course history. You don't need power at Pebble. You should be able to hang on the other golf courses. The only other thing I was going to flag is that Austin Smotherman is now on tour. And could we compare him with Adam Schenk? And can we find 2 others with just like the worst golf names possible to round out this foursome? I'm intrigued by Smotherman and Schenk, getting those 2 together. And what else could we do from there to finish the foursome?
Fred Bogeyman. I don't know.
Smotherman was 11th last week. Wow.
Yeah.
Hit it really well. He didn't really pop up for me, but that's if you want to go recent form, that's an interesting name.
Yeah, TJ Hooker, I don't know, but you could find something like that. But that would be bad. I've seen some buzz on golf Twitter on Mark Hubbard. Any interest in him? I know that was a guy that you liked. I think at Honolulu, Scott.
Yeah, I did. He did not treat us well there. He's got a lot of good ball striking numbers, but I just I don't know. Coming off 2 missed cuts, I think the ball striking numbers are kind of a little bit too much July, August, and September for me rather than more recently. So, and I'm gonna throw Kimbo Slice in that foursome
There you go. Nice. I think that our struggles in this range illustrate one thing. If you go pay up for Cantlay, you pay up for Berger. I mean, you're second golfer, you might pay the price. You may not be able to get a second guy in there in the 9,000 range and, avoid, this range here. I mean, maybe you get Kodaira in there and that makes it work for you. But the fact is there's not a lot of names we like. And that's the consequence of having a diluted field too.
It's a lot harder to find guys in here that you're at least intrigued by. Usually a couple weeks we're like, oh, this is risky, but he's intriguing. And I couldn't even find that much this week.
Yeah. Somebody's going to lotto and get it right. But
sure.
That's the tricky part. That's why there's an advantage to the people that throw in a ton of lineups. Probably, they build Cantlay and they, with someone else big, and then kind of throw some darts on some of the lesser ones, I guess.
Yep.
Let's pivot on to gaming, but before we do that, quick note from our Blue Wire sponsors. Thank you for indulging us there. Blue Wire hosts all of our podcasts on their network. Let's talk gaming and then one and done. Jeff Ritter, who do you like? Who's on your gaming card?
I got Mito 40-1 on golf odds. What is he on DraftKings?
40-1.
40-1. I love it. I'm gonna stay. Jason Day. I mean, I believe 20-1 is a little steep, but I think that could be. I kind of expect him to be there on Sunday. I also Ms. Wiedenhout, I mean, Scott, I didn't expect you to be as high on him as you were. I like him a lot. 50-1 is what I show on golf odds. That is also intriguing. And then you got me. God, I started scrambling on the Minwoo Lee argument that you put together was compelling, and I found it more compelling at 80-1. So I'm flagging that one as well.
So we're gonna, if we win this week, we're gonna be on the same. We're gonna be both winning this week because I'm not going anybody at the top of the board. I'm gonna play more guys down the card a little bit. So I'm gonna get a few more bets in there. I just think it's a tournament where anybody can win. And I don't want to lay under 10-1 on. Yeah, I obviously think that Berger's gonna be great, Cantlay's gonna be great, but I'm not laying those odds. I'm gonna bet top guy I'm gonna bet is Matthew Fitzpatrick. He's 28-1 on DraftKings. I think that he has a legit chance to win this week. I'm worried about the rest, but a world-class player at a pretty good price. Then actually the three guys Jeff mentioned, I've got Mito Pereira at 40-1, Christian Bez at 50-1. Minwoo Lee is down to 50-1 on DraftKings, so I need your 80-1 for sure.
Was that during the podcast? That's probably just dropped.
It might have been someone on the live stream just.
There are dozens of listeners that are pounding that right now. There are dozens of us.
They're so fast.
I actually think he has real win equity. I mean, anyone that can win the Scottish Open in that field has a chance to win here, and he's 50-1. And then I'm going to play those four, and then down the card a little bit, small bets on Aaron Rye at 80-1 and Grayson Sigg at 80-1. I think just a couple buck dart kind of thing. But those other four up there, I think all have chances to win, and all at odds that in this field, I think are pretty good odds for this group.
All right, very good. One and done. I'm 0 for 3 and one and done in our one and done pool. So I'm not even going to say who I'm going to do this. No, I can't do that to the people. I need to give them a negative indicator, the chalk bomb, if you will. I know I'm stealing from another newsletter or podcast on that phrase, so I apologize for that. But so I'll just say, and it won't even be chalk. I'll just be, and I know who you guys are going to go with. I'm just going to go with Jason Day. Believe in the story. I'll take Jason Day, and I apologize, Jason, for breaking your streak at Pebble.
I'm going Christian Bez this week. I'm going to do it. I don't want to, in a tournament where I think anybody can win, I'm not going to burn one of the top guys all the way. Obviously Cantlay and Berger could win, and Berger won last year, but a lot of long shots win here. I think Bez has it's going to be in a lot of courses later on. I'm not going to be able to use him because I don't think he's going to be quite long enough to win the tournament. I think that's not the case here. I think he could win. I'm going to take him and kind of, burn I don't know if we call him a second tier guy, a third tier guy, but that's where I'm going this week.
That leaves me. I'm between McNeely and Mito for the final pick. I will throw the dart and take a shot at Mito. I'll take the longer odds and see what happens.
Love it.
Nice.
He's gonna win one of these tournaments with a meh field. I think it's a good way to go. I like him too. I'm betting him for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So there you go. That sums it up. We got Bez, we've got Mito, we've got Day. We've got our bets in there, so a lot of Bez love here, and I wish I still had him on my season-long team. I like the guy a lot. He's a good golfer. That's going to conclude today's pod. If there's anything else you want to hit us with feedback up on Twitter, he's at Scott Jenstad. He's at Jeff_Ritter. I'm at Jeff_Erickson. Please do that. Thanks for listening to Gaming Golf. We'll be back at you again next week.